Okay, so here we are again. I'm always here, it seems like. Anyways, I have this, as you can see, this highly fine-tuned, engineered thing. I don't know what you'd call it, but it is something. There is no code here, and we're going to make some code. And the idea is this is a very, very simple inventory. Nothing crazy, but we have like essentially a red door. It's just a box. A blue door, which is also a box, shaped slightly different. A yellow door, and these essentially are going to be keys. And we want to be able to walk to the box or the door, but have to have the right key in our inventory, and the door will open. This is our player. So if you don't have ecosystem, get ecosystem. If you do have ecosystem, actually, first of all, if you don't have it, go to the add-ons, go to the wiki, and get the ecosystem. That's just like anyone who has Playmaker should get the ecosystem, period. So in the ecosystem, get array maker. Actually, I think it's one word. And it's right there, array maker. Get it. Just freaking get it. So player. First thing we're going to do, it's a very, very quick get axis vector. And I'm going to be relative to this camera. We're going to store a vector, and we're just going to simple move. So there's one of the easiest freaking character controller you'll ever see right there. Ain't going to do too much with it, right? So we hit play. And now we have, there we go. I can move around. I can't go through anything. Can't collect anything. We need to add that. But the first step is done. We have a player. They're moving. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, in our player, have an inventory. And I'm going to use a hash table proxy. And this can be called inventory. The type, now there's numerous ways to do this. In this particular case, I am just going to go with integers. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. So we're going to have, there's an FSM for move. Let's add an FSM. And this could be our little inventory manager. And this is going to be super simple. So if we can have, say, an event happen, say, pick up. Uh-oh, where'd I go? There we go. So we're going to pick up. If this happens, what we need to do is get event properties. And we're going to have one property. The key is going to be the item name. The type is going to be a string, and this data is going to be the item. So if we get that, actually no, you know what? Let's get two things, and let's get sent by, and this will be a game object type, and this we call it sent by. All right, so we don't actually technically need this, but it'll be good practice anyways. So we have an event that happens, and we get this, right? Pretty simple so far. Item name and sent by. So if we go to our keys, our three keys, let's just do one at a time. Okay, all three need to be a trigger. Let's do that. Now we'll do one at a time. An FSM. So what does this need? this needs a trigger event. Now let's say it has to just be the player. We're going to do trigger on a tag named player. Player hit me. Store the collider. So this is the player, right? That's what hit us. So now we can say, okay, we're going to transition away. Go over here. And what do we want to do? We want to set event properties. And we have two of them that we need to set. We have the item name, which is a type string, and we have sent by, which is type game object. So we need to be able to fill those out. So I think easiest thing to do would be get owner, right? And that can be our self. We're just going to get our self as a variable, and we're going to fill that in here. And then the other thing we want to do is we're going to just fill a string in, say item name. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put this as an input. Now we have all that. We can send event to the thing that we ran into, which is the player, right? That's this thing. That's what we're talking to. And we're expecting them to have an FSM called inventory, and they're going to have a global event called pick up. Now at this point in time, we technically don't need this portion. We could just destroy ourselves, but we're not going to. We're gonna let the player do that because it's easier to extend on if you want to extend this, right? So that logic there. So that is on the yellow key. So we can now give this thing any name we want. And I'm going to say it's the yellow key, right? Now, just as an example, just to show you that this part's already working, I can zip over and run into this. If I go to the player and we go to the inventory, we haven't seen anything happen yet. This thing's made a liar of me, and I know exactly why. So the first thing we need to do, if we're going to say this thing will only react to the player, is actually mark our player as the player, because I didn't do that, and that's why that didn't work. So anyways, uneventful. Now we go there and we see we have this event fired, the yellow key, and we have the object. So that's working great. Wonderful. Let's copy that. In fact, if you wanted to make a template of it, you could always do that too. But this one's going to be red key. And this one can be blue key. There we go. So we have all these different things. So back into our player. When this happens, let's destroy object, the sent by. Get rid of him. We don't, because we only ever want to pick this thing up once. The next thing we want to do is we want to hash table get. So ideally what we want to do is we want to check our inventory, and it's looking for a key, which is a string, like the name of something in here. So we want to look for item, and it's type integer, which doesn't matter because we're just looking to see if it even exists. The result is the value contained. But this is the important part. Key found, key not found. So if key is found, And if key is not found, then we don't have one, right? We have one or we don't have one. So we're getting an event of a little bit of data from the key. We're taking the name of this object and we look into the dictionary. And the dictionary is a list, which you'll see that in a minute, a little more clear. And we're just saying, hey, does our list contain this item? And if we don't have one, let's hash table add. So we're talking about the inventory still, so we need to tell that that's what we're talking about. We're adding the item. It's a type integer, and we can add 1. Right? Now, if we have 1, it's a little different. This is where this can actually become useful. We can now int add, as we know we have it, and this is its value. So we're going to add 1 to that value, and now hash table set. But make sure to put it underneath the add. So again, we're talking about the inventory. We're talking about this same item. It is a type integer, and we're going to set it as a value contained, which has now been modified because we just added 1 to it. All right, so now we have very simplistic. We grabbed an item, and if we look at our player, content 1 yellow key. And if I come over here, I have 1 red key. If I come over here, I now have a blue key. And if I want, I can duplicate this guy. And as you see now, I can pick one up, pick up another, and you can see we have yellow key. We have 2 of them. Now we have 3. Come over here, now we have 1 red key. Okay, beautiful, great, that works. So what do we need to do if we want doors? To say, hey, this door, we need to know if the player has a yellow key inside of his inventory, and if it does, we can destroy ourselves or something. Well, we could put the logic on the doors, or we can put it on the player, either or. Let's, in this particular case, I am going to put a box collider on our door here and make it a trigger. And I'm going to expand its size out a bit, say like that. And now we are again going to trigger event based on the player tag send player is here. We're going to store the thing that hit us, which is going to be the player again. Player is here. So now what do we need to do? We need to hash table get. Right, so we are looking not at ourselves, we're looking at the thing that we ran into, the player. And the reference we're talking about, again, is the same inventory. And the key is, let's make a variable called needed key. And let's put this one in the input so we can adjust it out here. And this is going to be a type integer. The result is the contained value. Key found, has key, no key. All right, so it's very simple, has key, no key. So if there's no key, we are actually just going to, let's just go back. Actually, we don't need to do anything. You don't have the key. We're just going to go back to the on trigger enter again. But if you have a key, let's int subtract, or you can add a negative value. The contained, let's subtract 1, and then hash table set, again on the player, which is the thing that we hit. We're still talking about this same inventory. We're still talking about this needed key. It is a type integer, and we want to subtract the contained, or we're going to set the contained value. Again, make sure we're modifying it before we set it, right? So we get the value, we modify it, we set the value. Now with that said, the other thing we should almost do prior to setting it is int compare. And if, let's stick it above here, and if the contained value is equal to 0, no items left. So if there's no items left, let's hash table remove. And again, we're going to go back to the player, same collider we ran into. We're still talking about the same inventory still, and we're going to remove the needed key. Now, if there is something more, then we can set it. I'm just going to drag this over here. There. Right, and then if we did do all this, right, if we have a key and we did all of this, really at the very end, let's destroy. Whether the player has keys or not, we're not that worried about, but we're going to destroy ourselves. Right, so that is the yellow door. So let's test. Oh, I can't test it yet because we didn't tell it what key to look for. So now I can go to the yellow door, the needed key. We're going to say you need the yellow key. Now spelling's important. Make sure whatever matches here matches with the key. Right, so if I come over here, I enter, nothing's happening. If I look at the logic, oh, that's the key. Whoops, it. Right, if I leave and enter, see, it's going, it's checking, but there is no key. If I grab this key and try, nope, can't do it. But I can grab this key, come over here, and it goes. And the best part is I can look at my player inventory now, and I've got the red key. I don't have a yellow key anymore. I used it. Right, so now I can simply take this logic, go to these two doors, paste it on. This one I can say I need the blue key. The red one I need the red key. And that's it. 3 functioning keys. Right? So again, I mean, I can go here and I can collect these. I can collect all these things, and it won't matter because I have to have the right door. And I can see my little bit of an inventory here because I have a blue key. Now I have a yellow key. And I can go up here and I can get rid of this door. Or maybe not. Might have spelt it wrong. But there's the yellow key, and it goes. And the red key, red door. Let's see, what did we spell it wrong? Well, you know what would actually help those two doors? Having box colliders and triggers. Yes, yes, indeedly do. So we based it off of box colliders, and then we didn't bother giving these two doors triggers to begin with. Well, that was very silly of me. There we go. I didn't mark them as trigger. God damn it. So, is trigger. Blue is trigger. Now, I'm just destroying them. You could animate them. You could just translate them. Whatever. It really doesn't matter. But here, see, I can't enter that one. Let's grab this guy. Now I can come over here and we can check our little inventory. We have the blue and the yellow. Got rid of the blue. Grab this guy. Let's get rid of the yellow door. Zip along over here. Getting all crazy, and get rid of the red door. So there we have a very simplistic inventory that you can use for this style.